Hey Cowboys Nation, let's dive into everything happening with America's team right now. If you've been following the latest roster news, you know the waiver wire is a critical moment for shaping a team, and this week it's going to be particularly interesting for Dallas. The NFL waiver wire opens on Wednesday at noon, but don't expect to see every move announced immediately. The Tennessee Titans have the first claim on any player, which means they get the first opportunity to pick up anyone waived around the league. After that, every other team gets a turn in the established order, which, by the way, mirrors the NFL draft order. For Dallas, that puts them in the 12th spot, giving them a solid chance to land some impactful additions if they play it right. There are no limits on claims, but it's important to remember that each team, assuming a player, also takes on that player's current contract and has to have a roster spot ready, typically by 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time. It's not like fantasy football, where you burn a pick and go back to the end of the line. The order stays consistent for each player, so every team gets the same chance to claim in sequence. Looking at the Cowboys roster right now, there are some areas that really need attention. Historically, the team has been conservative on the waiver wire, claiming players occasionally, but often relying on internal development. That approach can work, especially when a roster is deep in talent. But there are a few positions where Dallas could definitely benefit from adding new bodies. Cornerback is one of those obvious areas. If Trayvon Diggs were to miss Week 1, rookie Zion Childress could slide into the slot, but the team could still use reinforcement in that position. Beyond cornerback, the defensive tackle room feels underwhelming. Right now, it's a collection of players who haven't quite proven themselves, and there's been some chatter about how much the team struggled with depth at that spot last season. Players like Pian Winfrey, who came out of the USFL this spring, show that the team may need to get creative to find a reliable interior presence. The running back situation also deserves attention. Miles Sanders is currently dealing with an injury, and while he's talented, the Cowboys could explore options, like moving him to injured reserve temporarily and bringing in someone else to add depth and stability. That's a strategy that could pay off by maintaining roster flexibility while still keeping Sanders in the mix for later games. At the same time, there are limited options available on the waiver wire when it comes to running backs, so any move has to be calculated carefully. Players like Audrey Esteem have some power running ability but don't contribute much in the passing game, and other available backs haven't shown consistent production. When we look at the defensive tackle pool on the waiver wire, a few names stand out. Zach Pickens from the Bears is an interesting case. At 6'4" and 300 lb, he's not a huge presence, but his size and style fit what the Cowboys coaching staff typically looks for. Pickens has ties to some of the current defensive coaches, and while he hasn't had a breakout season yet, his potential makes him worth watching. For a bigger frame, Brick Martin from the Lions presents another opportunity. At 6'5" and 330 lb, Martin has the size to be a difference maker inside, even though he hasn't lived up to expectations yet. Then there's CJ Okoye from the Ravens, also known as Basil, who brings a nose guard type body and athleticism that could fit well in Dallas' defensive front. His size might not be quite 370 lb as some reports suggest, but even around 330, he's her physical presence. Other names like Elijah Chapman from the Giants and Taki Tina from the Vikings offer unique skill sets, though Chapman is on the smaller side. Antime and I come from a team with deep defensive line depth. Looking at cornerbacks, the Cowboys could benefit from a few strategic additions. Beanie Bishop, a nickel corner from West Virginia, has shown solid productivity with interceptions and pass breakups. His sub-31 in arms might be slightly shorter than ideal, but his speed more than compensates. Deary Mathesy, a former draft pick, has some upside as both an inside and outside corner, while Julius Branch, standing nearly 6'3" and weighing 198 lb, fits the Cowboys' archetype for a tall, long-armed corner. Branch has been banged up in the past, and his scheme fit wasn't perfect in Indianapolis, but his measurables are impressive. Players like him could provide critical depth if the Cowboys decide to make moves during the waiver period. The reality of the waiver wire is that teams are often looking to take one team's cast-off and turn it into their own treasure. The Cowboys need to be deliberate about who they target, because depth is crucial and roster spots are limited. Defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and running backs represent key positions where improvements could be made. Each claim requires careful calculation, balancing immediate needs with the long-term health of the roster. It's also about understanding how each player could fit into the team's schemes and philosophy. Offensive line depth is another subtle area where the Cowboys may need to monitor potential claims. Some former first-round picks and high-profile college athletes are circulating on the waiver wire, and while they haven't panned out elsewhere, they could find a new life in Dallas' system. The team's approach has often been conservative, preferring development over high-risk claims. But sometimes the right waiver wire move can dramatically shift the balance in the trenches. Even beyond the immediate starters, the Cowboys need to consider their practice squad and rotational players. This is where hidden gems can make a difference. Over the course of a long season, players who may have been cut for numbers reasons, injuries or other circumstances could still provide meaningful contributions if given a structured environment and coaching support. Evaluating these players requires not just looking at stats but understanding body types, versatility, and potential upside. When analyzing the running back options, it's clear that while the waiver pool may not be deep, there are possibilities that fit the Cowboys' needs. Estimate provides a physical presence in the backfield, while other lesser-known players could offer situational utility. The key is determining who can contribute immediately versus who might develop over time. Running backs with after-contact ability, short yardage toughness, and versatility in the passing game are premium commodities, and any waiver wire addition has to address at least one of those areas. Finally, let's talk about the bigger picture. The Cowboys have historically valued players who fit their system and culture. That means even talented players might be passed over if they don't align with the team's identity. The waiver wire is not just about picking up available talent. It's about strategic alignment, fit within the defensive and offensive schemes, and the potential for long-term impact. It's a chess match, and the moves made this week could define the early part of the season. As we continue breaking down the Cowboys roster heading into the season, the running back room remains one of the most intriguing areas to watch. Miles Sanders' current injury complicates the depth chart. And while he has undeniable talent, the team needs to think creatively to maintain a balanced attack. One option that has been floated is moving Sanders to injured reserve temporarily, which would free up a roster spot and allow the team to claim someone off the waiver wire or bring in a free agent with immediate utility. It's a smart approach, especially given the limited high-end options at running back. The pool is thin, and while some players have flashes of potential, very few can contribute across all three downs. Audrey Esteem, for instance, provides a physical power-running style, but his involvement in the passing game is limited. That's not necessarily a deal-breaker if the Cowboys can use him situationally to pound the middle and control the clock, particularly in short yardage scenarios or against defenses that struggle against downhill runners. Then there's Damon Martinez, a name many fans remember from the draft process. Martinez had a higher evaluation than where he was ultimately drafted. Then there was initial excitement about his ability to stretch the field and contribute in versatile ways. Unfortunately, his camp performances were inconsistent, and while the Cowboys gave him a chance with a visit, they passed. Still, a waiver wire claim or a late addition could give him another shot to prove himself, especially if he can maintain durability and find a role in specialized packages. Cesrael Abanikanda also deserves mention. While he hasn't received consistent opportunities and has bounced between a few teams, his blend of height, weight, and speed offers tantalizing upside. He's an explosive player capable of breaking tackles in the open field and creating big plays on limited touches. The challenge is turning that raw potential into consistent production. For the Cowboys, any of these running backs would have to complement the current roster without creating redundancy, and that's a delicate balance to strike. Shifting focus to the defensive side, cornerback depth is always an area of attention in Dallas. Trayvon Diggs provides a foundational presence, but injuries or missed games could expose weaknesses in the slot and on the outside. That's where the waiver wire becomes a strategic playground. Beanie Bishop, for instance, stands out as a nickel corner with experience, speed, and playmaking ability. Despite shorter arm length relative to his height, his 4.39 40-yard dash speed makes him a disruptive force in coverage. Then there's Deary Mathise, who offers flexibility to play inside or outside. His game tape suggests he can adapt to different schemes, which is crucial when injuries force adjustments mid-aim. Julius Branch is the archetypal long, lanky corner the Cowboys love to target. Standing almost 6'3", weighing 198 lbs with elite arm length and wingspan metrics, he fits the profile of a player who could dominate matchups at the line of scrimmage in an off-man coverage. Branch has faced challenges with injuries and limited playing time, but the Cowboys coaching staff has a history of unlocking potential in players with similar physical tools. Defensive tackles remain a pressing concern. The interior line is where games are often won or lost, and depth in this area cannot be overstated. Zach Pickens' blend of size and technique makes him a viable target, particularly given his previous ties to coaching staff members. CJ Okoye, the nose guard-type body from the Ravens, offers a different skill set, bringing the kind of strength and leverage that can anchor the middle against both the run and passing attack. Brick Martin is another name worth evaluating. His frame alone at 6'5" and 330 lbs is imposing. Even if his pass production hasn't met expectations, the physical tools are there for the Cowboys to potentially mold him into a rotational player or situational starter. Elijah Chapman and Taki Tiani are additional options that could fill gaps, providing depth and rotational flexibility. Chapman, although smaller in stature, showed flashes of tenacity and quickness that could be leveraged in sub-packages, while Taimai's experience with the Vikings' depth-heavy defensive line adds polish and situational awareness. The reality is that the Cowboys have to think about depth in terms of matchups and in-game situations. Injuries are inevitable over the course of a season, and having players who can step in without drastically altering the team scheme or performance level is invaluable. That's why watching the waiver wire closely is essential. Sometimes the best move is not to chase the flashiest name, but to identify a player who complements the current roster and fits into the system seamlessly. For instance, a defensive tackle with limited snaps elsewhere may flourish in Dallas due to the coaching style surrounding talent or specific role in run-stopping packages. Similarly, a quarterback who struggled in one scheme could thrive as a sub-package player in Dallas' defensive rotation. It's a matter of identifying potential and understanding how a player's traits intersect with the team's philosophy. The running back situation ties into offensive strategy as well. The Cowboys need a reliable rotation to sustain drives, manage the clock, and protect the quarterback. Players like Estime, Martinez, and Abanikanda could each play a role in different scenarios: power downs, passing downs, or change of pace situations. The challenge for the coaching staff is to integrate these players effectively without disrupting chemistry or offensive flow. The key will be leveraging practice reps, preseason performance, and analytics to predict who can contribute immediately versus who requires development. That predictive element is what separates a reactive claim from a strategic addition. On special teams, some of these waiver wire additions could have an impact as well. Running backs and defensive backs often contribute on coverage units, return units, and situational plays. For the Cowboys, a waiver wire player who can play multiple roles provides added value. In today's NFL, versatility is currency, and teams, like Dallas, are aware that a player capable of filling several roles can make a significant difference over the course of season. Looking deeper into the fringe roster, offensive line depth remains a subtle yet critical concern. While the team has invested in starters, injuries or underperformance can expose weaknesses in both pass protection and run blocking. Players circulating the waiver wire. Even those considered disappointments elsewhere can find new life in Dallas' system. A high motor lineman who understands the scheme could rotate in, provide relief, and maintain consistency without requiring immediate impact as a starter. Evaluating these players requires looking beyond raw statistics. Footwork, hand placement, football IQ, and adaptability all matter. Dallas has historically excelled at maximizing such hidden potential. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The sports world woke up in shock today with a rumor that spread like wildfire across social media platforms, sports talk shows, and locker room conversations. CeeDee Lamb, the electrifying wide receiver who has been the heart of the Dallas Cowboys offense, is reportedly on his way out of the franchise. Although no official press release has been published by the team or by Lamb's representatives, whispers began surfacing late last night that a disagreement over contract negotiations, locker room dynamics, and long-term vision for the Cowboys' offensive identity have led to a dramatic break in trust. Fans flooded Twitter with disbelief, many refusing to believe that the team's most dangerous offensive weapon could even consider leaving. Yet insiders insist that conversations have been ongoing for weeks behind closed doors, involving tense meetings between Lamb's camp and Cowboys management. What initially seemed like routine off-season contract discussions may have spiraled into something more serious, revealing fractures that now appear irreparable. The idea of Lamb walking away from America's team feels surreal, almost impossible. But the noise around this rumor has grown too loud to ignore and has set the entire NFL landscape buzzing with speculation about what might happen next. Adding, even more intrigue to this whirlwind of speculation is the timing of these whispers, surfacing just days after Jerry Jones appeared on a local radio show praising the young star, but vaguely hinting that business comes first. Many analysts are dissecting that particular phrase, suggesting it may have been a subtle acknowledgement that the front office is unwilling to bend to Lamb's demands, whether those demands involve financial compensation, offensive role assurances, or leadership input in shaping the Cowboys' future. Lamb, known for his composure on the field, has rarely spoken out against the organization, but teammates have reportedly noticed a different energy around him in recent weeks. Quieter, more withdrawn, as if he already had one foot out the door. This contrast has fueled even more curiosity and debate. Could this be the calm before the storm with Lamb, preparing a dramatic announcement that would leave Cowboys Nation stunned? Or is this all smoke exaggerated by insiders eager to stoke drama in the always headline-hungry NFL media cycle? Regardless of the truth, the fact that this rumor has legs is enough to send shivers through Dallas, where fans live and breathe Cowboys football like a religion. The implications of such a move, if confirmed, would be seismic not only for Dallas, but for the league as a whole. CeeDee Lamb is not just another player. He has blossomed into one of the most feared receivers in the game, capable of turning a short slant into a touchdown or torching a secondary with deep plays that ignite stadiums. Losing him would strip the Cowboys' offense of its primary playmaker, leaving Dak Prescott without his most reliable target and raising massive doubts about the team's ability to compete for a championship in the near future. Furthermore, his departure would likely signal the start of a domino effect with other players, questioning the organization's commitment to building a sustainable contender for rival franchises. However, the idea of Lamb becoming available has already sparked fantasy-like scenarios. Imagine him lining up alongside Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, or forming a terrifying duo with Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. Speculation has spread like wildfire across fan forums, sports podcasts, and television segments. With everyone eagerly debating where Lamb might land if the rumor proves true, one thing is certain. If he really does leave Dallas, the balance of power in the NFL could tilt dramatically overnight. As the story develops, the focus has shifted to Lamb himself, who has remained notably silent. While some players in his position might issue cryptic posts on Instagram or like tweets that fuel speculation, Lamb has maintained radio silence, offering no confirmation or denial of the growing chatter. That silence has only made the rumor grow louder as fans and journalists alike attempt to decode his absence from the spotlight. Sources close to the situation claim that Lamb is weighing his options carefully, aware of the potential impact of any public statement he makes. If he confirms his departure, he risks alienating Cowboys Nation, a fan base that has embraced him as a hero. If he denies it outright, he could weaken his negotiating leverage. This delicate balancing act underscores the high stakes of the situation. Every decision, every word or lack thereof, will be scrutinized and dissected endlessly. For now, the waiting game continues with the sports world, hanging on every breathless update, each insider tweet, and every speculative headline that keeps the fire burning hot. Ultimately, whether this rumor proves true or fizzles into nothing, more than off-season drama, it has already accomplished one thing. It has reminded everyone of the immense weight CeeDee Lamb carries in the modern NFL conversation. Few players can dominate the news cycle with nothing more than whispers of their possible departure. Yet Lamb has done exactly that, showing just how indispensable he has become to both the Cowboys and the broader football narrative. For Dallas, the pressure is now squarely on the front office, forced to either reaffirm their commitment to Lamb with action or risk, letting one of the most talented receivers in the game slip through their fingers. For fans, this is a roller coaster of emotion oscillating between denial, anger, hope, and dread. And for the rest of the league, it is a tantalizing possibility that may change the competitive landscape in unpredictable ways. The rumor has shaken the foundations of one of the NFL's most storied franchises. And whether it ends in heartbreak or relief, one thing is certain. The name CeeDee Lamb will not leave the headlines anytime soon. That's it for this update. If you enjoy the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.